All right, let's see what happens here. I'm going to read a little from different books, and then, as we like to do as poets, get onto some new material. That's our favorite. But this from the second book, Dissolve, San Miguel. There is a sudden downpour, and people cluster waiting in the cove of the cathedral. Under each arc of eve rain black doves. It is very beautiful. Yes, a strange man agrees twice. Orange lilies lie wilting in the heat. Candles of torn sunlight slip over us. I've had a fever. I need ice. The beggars for alms hold out palms full of rain and the thunder, and then counting the fierce voices in the sky. What can I bring to bring you these stained bells, the scent of creosote and chili, each bent back of each woman across the square, weaving baskets, selling sliced cactus and pale pink carnations. 3 days I've had no bath, should step out in the water and be cleaned. And I can't believe you aren't with me. A lost color, a breathless lung. People leave the shelters of doorways for rough cobblestone streets. Everyone is watching the sky. And when the shower has passed, an old man exits the chapel, arms laden with huge lilies, white and fragrant, fragrant and white. And from Towards the Forest, I'll read 2 poems. 7 pairs of swans. I sense the profiles of my husband and mother beside me at the water's edge, staring intently through the smoky twilight as 7 trumpeter swans glide in perfect formation toward the inlet where they'll weather the night. No one speaks, and our breath is gentle, and the dog even stays on his haunches, head thrusting forward as the birds merge into a white ship on a surface of steel, until reflected clearly on the water are 7 pairs of stately twins, giving the impression of spirits whose black beaks and faces disappear into the growing darkness, as if parts of them go ahead into death. So they are neither in this world nor the next, but both. And the fact they simply sail across the pillars of fire, light falling from the windows of the cabins along the shore, it does little to dispel this feeling. So much so that my mother rests her hand across my husband's back just as he reaches for my wrist, where I, a little apart, watch as 2, 4, then all 7 of the silent winter swans slip beyond the thick wall of cedar trees, the reeds, the blue-tail grass, until the last of them has vanished. Thank you. If you still like me at the end, you can clap. And also from Towards the Forest, which was my first book, The Edge of the World. I offer you a small peeled orange and say, this is the earth. The Irish moss, quiet as a caterpillar, tempts you to dig your feet into its wool and loose its scent. Our naked limbs in the sun, we impress ourselves into each other, bear the unbearable light. Here, before the dark cold of the room where the man who has your face dies, we remain the sole witnesses as a single moth, a strange and barely blue one, seals itself to the window where it writes, we cannot help who we love. I'm going to read a couple of poems from the She series. This book is a kind of call and response with Venice poet Sarah McLay, long-term collaborator of mine. Let me see, what did I have in mind? And it started because she lives on the property with me, and we would just sort of slip envelopes under the doors. So it was a very organic process, but the poems are all numbered. We're both extremely territorial and competitive, so nobody touched anybody else's poems. We are close readers of each other's work, but we never looked at any of the poems while we were doing this book, which took about 7 years to make because there were so many permutations. But I'll read 2 poems from here, and then I'll start to read a little from The Weaver's Body, and then a new collection that I wanted to read a little bit from before Mary comes and graces us. 1. The book is still, is closed, so casts a square shade on the woman's knees where she kneels at the pond, and still the sorting goes on. The book is open. It's a question about waiting. The kiss planted, want now saturated with a pale, cool sheen, no longer knowing what's behind, what's before, the woman above and the one below both lean and touch mouth to mouth, intently considering the face in the still, clear surface, while way up and beyond vapors of clouds shape her hair into white, tufting Antoinette coils, the head, a head in the clouds and not in the blood or the garbage, in the blood or the want. The pages flutter open. There is a body lying still. The body is the mother, my mother. I spread open her ribs and count them gently until they lute and harp. Violet glands, now fruits and veins, steaming with tenderness. Your mother is here too. Men will come with boats soon. It was just a book. It was a painting in a museum of a woman with a book. There was a shimmering world and a pool. I think I'll move on. This book, The Red Bull, is a fable in poems. It's extremely difficult to read from because the poems are persona poems and it really is a fable. So I think just that's enough said for that. Let me see if I can find what I had in mind here. This is the new manuscript. It'll be out in March. Not like that. It should look a little different, and I'm going to read a few pieces from this and then something from another manuscript I'm in the middle of. From The Weaver's Body, poem for reed, Embryo, 1. With a kind face, you tell me you're going in circles again. Grouse in the field, waves in the sea, the tail of the singing bull's bell. Like the eyes of old dogs, I say. Your cat is crying at the door with the smallest voice. It does not suit her. I listen between things. Now know I know nothing, near ruined by running from knowing nothing and hiding. I hate being helpless. Do you understand? 2. She is kneading my belly, suckling a kitten for the first time in 3 months since you're dead. Dead is odd, monster, concave. I know, you say, from there. Not bad, odd. Small oval fires of rain cling in the cups of leaves beyond the doors. Every part of light, water, what I must wear to bed to be safe. 3. birdwing and cattail spinning in circles. She is caught in the closet filled with red shoes. I release them all. They can fly and change forms. That's good, since I need them to lift my arms while I carry your bones on my shoulders. My dear, my dear, my dear. 4. All shapes repeat within all shapes, you see? Forever, it's nothing to nothing. Under my cheeks, this skull. Under my fingers, these cheeks. Can it be true? It's the truth. It cannot be true. It is. Now you live in the blue space of my ribs. Say everything. If you don't say it now, I love you so it will disappear. No particular person at all, in a general sense. I think I use a couple of words that I'm going to skip because of the age of the audience, some of the audience. No particular person at all in a general sense. My rib cage is a piano left in a field of grass, feet cold and covered with the shed ochre of leaves. Tiny notes, opened when falling between winter and spring. Where did the body of my brother go? Where did the body of my mother go? I've seen swarms of bees unite as one soft ghost of beings flowing through the sky in such deep desire they all hear it at once. The stores on the boulevard are open. I could care less. Buzz, buzz, this sonata of dreams, the mist of my legs, fractured then bolted together to make me stay. Mother, I could never sit still. Mother, I'm so glad I made you play rather than fret. I would eat all the jelly from the jar, every last scrape, hungry for sex, really, god of a moment of lushness, and tremble, oh tremble, purple bookmark, little sugar salute. Local honey on the tongue is my brother's voice, his imagined timbre. He played the guitar so goddamn well I'm terrified to sing again. My teeth ache when I open my throat. Each sound comes black and white, and Spain is calling with its men of lacquer, its collected sun. They will love my ass. I've never been to Spain, yet all other worlds mark this nude mirage, because buried in a foreign hotel of shadows, I can now read backwards on the window my own handwriting, always notating the old sonatas. In this body, my mother, my brother, I am your legs now. And that silent, enormous grandmother, ghoul in a dark room of dust and porcelain figurines with poodles and baskets of broken flowers. She's in here too. I know hatred's teeth marks well. Mother, a box, brother, a box of expensive cameras, a slow train, river music. Mother, a child's hat in a pocket of lavender blue, a worry stone, blue as well. Mother, quiet, white. Brother, solid, dark night sky. The men I've loved all live inside me. The ocean, blue, blue, undulates over the earth. I just want the kiss. I want to touch my mother's hand. I want to smell my mother's hands, my brother's eyes flashing in rage. I want that too, hungry to the verge, in love with a craving. I want my way. I want it now. I want to be the queen of these crowded streets, but I can't even save my own life. I don't know where any of the poems are in here. Okay, here we go. And just one more from this and then 2 more. So this is your 3-poem warning. Spider. Just waking, I watch as through midair a being, its body, a small, perfect pearl, spins from one plane to another, from soil, in fact, towards somewhere beyond all I can see. A doorway of sunlight, rain gutter, roof eave. The jacaranda limb, new pods and leaves. A cloud-washed sky into which she weaves, traversing a ladder as sheer as wind, through fields of air on one simple thread, too light to bear, yet tough enough to carry her well from one world to another. And then I'm working on a new manuscript called Fire Speaks Girl. Let's see if that's going to make a mess. I think it will. And here are 2 of these. They're a little more narrative than these last selections. Rope. They caught me spine contrary to the fence. The boys ganged up, cornered me between the redwood and the reeking oleander, poison hedge. Never eat the flowers or you will die. What I would have culled and brewed for a witch's curse, blooms magenta and white, braided with veins like the corpuscles under each skull. The boys' skulls too, those beasts pressed tight around me, 4 of them, and some days 5, rude-cheeked, a band of heated males, coursing and quivering, the neighborhood club. They found me at 6 years and 7, 7 and 8, chalk-kneed, all elbows hissing under the raining elm before I ran and kicked, punched and scratched, grabbed for the left-handed path, the old world of snakes, symbols shot with stunning charms. I glared green as they gripped my ankles, right foot, left foot, nettled wrist, right hand, left hand, lifeline rising, map torn, blonde, pre-taxidermy girl stretched like a table, lust longs to feast from. Eat, girl, smell blood, while dogs whined and the carnal rave arose, gobbling hard as a sun fever, a blister. Those boys pulled me into an animal skin before they began to swing the pink skipping rope of my frame, the buzzing twine of me, up to the air, down to the ground, burning the umbilical line straight from their crowing cocks to the red cave of girl, that fissure they could never own, so they pulled me hard into a rope and grunted chants neither sweet nor tender, no longer children, as I prayed to the blank glass eye of the sky than the impassive brightness of my mother's lawn. Up, down, my limbs, the 4 bed-stock pillars of the unmade bed, the unbroken sex. They swung me rush and dip toward the rigid earth, the jade, the blue dizzy horizon, until they let me fly, let me land, and lay as dead until I could rise and run, and I ran until they found me again. And I've been working on this one, you can see, so I'm just going to go for it. That's sort of like, that's like driving on you. Let's see how it goes, okay? The porch. The storm swelled the horizon wide, damped the slim striped mattress where I lay on the screen porch, smelling thickness, tin roofs bubbling with downpour, windows opened as if deliriously shocked by lightning brewing up the tree-lined Wisconsin street, invading the closed stoops, closed doorways of the old stick-built houses beyond which mute TVs flashed against the rain, reeking now of cornfields, darkened dairy cows hunkered back sides to the wind, the yellow petals of sunflowers, limp besodden laundry, and me, alone at 13, on grandmother's porch, unopened as a line drawing I'd find years later, just after my mother's death. The art slipped into her bottom drawer, a female nude coming loose in that moment just before there is no return. My mother, the artist, still hesitant with the pressure of black charcoal, as if tracing for the first time her own vagina, that charitable interior, and me now in a July storm, 13, hot as thunder, torrent pounding the town to tatters, while the hidden ones, moles, whitetail, crickets, mockingbirds, all turned cobalt with wetness, burrowing in the lush foliage of the arboretum at the lakeside, all creatures acute, listening, and me on the porch, watching the morning glories vining up the screen, curled tight as the fists of sleeping babies, grandmother's rocker glowing in intermittent lightning, its oak arms worn by the oil of her hands, Doral cigarette butts clustered like rotten seed pods in the green cut glass ashtray, lipstick smeared wine glass on the table near the narrow bed where I stretched, limbs lavish as fine doeskin, left leg dangling, freckled, round, counting down 1 to 10 between lightning and thunder, kissing the back of my hand to see what kissing was. The Rolling Stones, wild horses, a forest of craving for a cousin in the north who wore his hair long, my small nipples startling, a butterfly pinned and dreaming, too, of the fireman up Knickerbocker Street whose wife would never know how he'd wrestled me with his large, rough fingers into the brambles one night, swallowing my new breast as if he were starving. Me, 13, all pores open, plump, body insistent as the gale's electric friction, its driven thrusts of ebullient, unchecked fluorescence roaring over the seamless Midwestern plains. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Philip. Thank you for having a gorgeous reading series. Great.